The Tao of Self-Confidence, episode 792. Welcome to the Tao of Self-Confidence, where I share stories of amazing women who have discovered their inner journey to self-confidence. Visit our website at thetaoofselfconfidence.com. Your inner journey to self-confidence awaits. Well, hello, friend. Welcome to the Tao of Self-Confidence, where I share stories of amazing women who have discovered their inner journey to self-confidence. I'm your host today, Sheena Yap Chan, and today I have a phenomenal lady on the show today. She's the CEO and founder of Fat Merchant and also Mom Boss Co., and I'm really excited to have her on and share her story with us today on self-confidence. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to Suneera Madhani. Suneera, how are you today? Maybe you can fill in a little bit more about yourself to the listeners.
Hey, Sheena, how are you? I'm so excited to be here this morning and talking about one of my favorite topics, self-confidence. A little bit about my background to the audience. I am a founder of a technology company in Orlando. I started a company from absolutely nothing. It was just a crazy idea in my head in the payment space. So that was my background. And I launched the company in 2014 and grew it from just myself to over 110 employees. We have 4 offices. I've raised 20 million in venture capital. We're doing billions of dollars in transactions now. So we're like one of the largest credit card processors in the nation now. And yeah, so I launched that in 2014, and my story has been featured in every publication imaginable, from Forbes to Fast Company, TechCrunch, Huffington Post, as just as a young female founder in a very male-dominated space. And so I've had a lot of success in business during that time while I was scaling a company and raising venture capital and going through this really, really hard struggle of entrepreneurship. I became pregnant with my first daughter, Mila, who's now 3.5. And I also have a second daughter, Anna, who is 11 months. And so I am a crazy working mom who balances or tries to balance mom guilt and mom life and everything in between. And so I run a Instagram handle. It was actually just my personal Instagram called Mom Boss Co., because all my friends would call me Mom Boss, and it'd always be hashtagging #Mom Boss. But it's just a fun account to, just showcase that we as women can have it all. I have a crazy work life, but I also have an incredible family life. And I didn't want to choose between having a work life and a family life. And that's kind of one of the struggles in our society today, but that's the why behind Mom Boss. And so that's what I do. And that's what I do day to day is Fat Merchant. And then my passion project is Mom Boss, which is at night and on the weekends.
Thanks for sharing that. And that's great. You're able to, do everything that you want, right? I think anything's possible if you put your mind to it, right? And I know sometimes as women, we get flack for everything. If we work too much, if we don't work too much, if we're a mom, if we're not a mom. So it's like, you got to go there and just do what makes you happy and do what fuels your soul to go out there and, create a better impact. So thanks for sharing that. And Suneera, what's your cultural background?
I'm actually Pakistani. So my parents, I'm first generation in America. So I was born here. I was born in Chicago. I grew up in Dallas, actually, and I moved to Florida over 16 years ago. So half my life I spent in Texas and half my life I spent in Florida. So I consider Florida my home, Orlando my home. But my parents are both my parents are both immigrants from Karachi, and so that's my cultural background.
Thanks for sharing that. And what'd be your favorite self-confidence quote?
Oh, this one's so tough. I know you had asked me that earlier, so I was like trying to really think through. I mean, there's so many things that just inspire me, but something that really resonated with me is a quote that says, "Prove yourself to yourself and not to others." And I think that one's just so great. It really hits home for me because especially in this world of social media, and you see kind of like all your friends and everybody doing incredible things, or you think things are like very incredible, but when you actually kind of dig through, it's not picture perfect. Compete against yourself, right? And don't compare yourself to others, and don't try to prove it for others. This is definitely something that I struggled with. I mean, my company, Fat Merchant, was born out of me trying to prove to my old bosses that I could do this on my own. And so I think we as women definitely have a lot of vengeance in that of we want to, we always feel like we have to prove ourselves. And so that shouldn't change. But I really think this is fantastic of, make sure you're doing it for you and not for other people. And I think that will really give you your why. And it's something that I've really tried to live true to.
Thanks for sharing that. And I love that quote, especially, as Asian women, we've been raised all our lives to like compare ourselves to others. We have to realize we do things to please ourselves, right? And there's nothing wrong with that, like to make ourselves happy and, doing things like self-care and loving ourselves. I mean, it's all part of the process to build that confidence to go out there and do what we love versus like trying to do everything for others, which is not a bad thing, but it's like, when you go overboard and you sacrifice yourself and your happiness for it, that's when it becomes a problem. So I really love that quote that you mentioned. And in your own words, how do you define self-confidence?
I think self-confidence is having the ability to show up as yourself and like your true authentic self and be content and like be truly happy with that. And that to me is self-confidence. It's really that state of it's like a feeling. It's a state of emotion, and that emotion that you get that you can 100% show up as you and you're so fucking happy. I don't know if I can swear here, but like you're so fucking happy that you are you and this is how I'm showing up and I'm so 100% content with that. That is fucking confident.
Thanks for sharing that great definition. And Suneera, what was your life like before you discovered self-confidence?
I think it's definitely still a struggle. No matter, people view me as a very confident person, and I will say most days I am, but it's still a constant battle. There's no sense of like perfection of like, oh, I have confidence now and that's going to stay. It's like a practice, right? Like it's like a muscle. You have to work on it. You have to build it. And if you don't train it or you don't put time and effort towards it, it's going to go away. And so, self-confidence to me is something that I'm constantly working on because as women, we have so many emotions and so many little voices in our head that will tell us otherwise. And it changes, right? Like you could be completely confident about something. And that doesn't mean that you're, like something will happen in the day and it's, your attitude and your mind just completely shifts. And you can be confident about different aspects of your life. Like I can be confident in business, but I may not be confident in my body, right? Like there's confidence is a mindset, right? And you have to have that mindset towards every aspect. And so I don't think that there's a day where it's 100% of the time, right? And so it's just a practice that you have to keep top of mind that, and you have to remove the negative self-talk and make sure that you are being your cheerleader instead of putting yourself down, because at the end of it, it's not actually other people that drive our confidence. It's ourselves and our perception of ourselves.
Thanks for sharing that. And what was that point in your life when you realized you can go out there and, be who you are today, especially, creating Fat Merchant and Mom Boss Co. It's always a challenge for women to start their own thing because there's always fear and we overanalyze like every little detail there is possible and we feel like we're never ready. What was that aha moment that gave you the confidence to go out there and do it?
Yeah, I think it was a fed up moment is what it was in my life, where I just saw something happening for our customers and our industry. And I just knew that there had to be a better way. I was preaching, Fat Merchant is a subscription-based credit card processing company. This is nothing sexy, nothing novel, but this is in 2012 where there really wasn't a lot of technology around the payment card industry, and businesses they just need to accept payments, and we're becoming more and more cashless as a society. So it was a really great market to be in, yet all the players are very, very traditional, like traditional banks, traditional processors. And so they're earning a pretty heavy percentage for the small business on their transactions. And I like to call myself an elder millennial that was starting to subscribe to incredible products and softwares. I was like, why isn't subscription being applied in payments where it's unlimited credit card processing for that small business and an awesome software package for them? And instead of charging on the percentages, they just pay a flat monthly subscription. And this was I didn't think it was anything that novel at the time, but there wasn't subscription-based. Like it was, now we're in a subscription-based economy, but I was the first to launch something like this. And that aha moment was after about 12 no's. Like I didn't have the confidence to go start this. It was out of pretty much true desperation and my passion and belief for this product market fit for these customers to have a better experience. My parents, like I mentioned, were immigrants. We've had every small business ever imaginable, and just knowing the pain points of small business owners. And so it was honestly out of desperation. And after about 12 no's, I literally got a dozen no's before I decided to go find Mr. Visa and go start the company on my own. So sometimes it's not necessarily there are a million aha moments, but there is that fear and there is that level of lack of self-confidence, right? It's that talk that I'm not going to be able to do this and it's going to be hard. And honestly, it is hard and it's not easy. And it doesn't my story isn't the norm, right? It's one in, I don't know, a million. I don't know that this happens to, that I was actually able to take something and create a massive company, create true value for like my vision for the product, and just have this incredible company. It's just not, it doesn't usually work out that way, but you have to push yourself, right? And it is not going to be easy, and it can happen though.
Thanks for sharing. Then, I like how you mentioned how you had a fed up moment, right? Because a lot of us feel fed up, right? Whether it's a job we hate or maybe a point in our life where we feel like we're just fed up of doing the same thing over and over and over again and not getting the same results. Sometimes you just have to go out there and make the change like you did, right? You just knew there had to be a better way. And, it's great that you were able to go out there and take action regardless. You had no clue what the outcome was going to be because you just went for it, right? You just said, I'm going to do this. I see a need for it. And you became the trendsetter for, doing subscription-based products. And yes, look at it now. I mean, everything's cashless, right? Everyone has something on subscription. And, like you mentioned, it wasn't a walk in the park, but it's all worth it in the end. And because of that, what's your realization been like now?
I think the realization is really that you can really do anything you put your mind to. So I think that the power of your mind is something that's undervalued, and you don't need to have, I didn't go to CEO school. Like right now I'm managing a company that does millions of dollars in revenue. I have over 100 employees. We have 4 offices. I've raised 20 million in venture capital. Like wasn't taught any of this. I didn't go to school to go raise, I didn't know this, but if you put your mind to it, you can learn it, and you can, having that confidence to step up into every challenge and find a solution. I mean, that is something that successful people have in common. It's not necessarily about the skill set. It's really having the confidence in yourself to be able to figure it out. And so I think that that's been like the biggest realization, that I've had it in me all along. This was the path to get there.
Thanks for sharing that. And I love how you mentioned, you didn't go to school for it, because a lot of people feel like they can't do anything regardless because of their past, right? It's like, I never went to school for it. I have no clue how to start a business, but you just went for it. And there's so many great CEOs who never went to school, right? Who just started from literally the bottom and just worked their way up and just made it happen regardless of the outcomes. And, that's what success is, right? You just keep doing it no matter what happens, no matter how bad your day gets, you just keep getting yourself back up. And I think that's great that you were able to do that and show, other people it's possible, especially as, as an Asian woman. A lot of us feel like we're never enough. We can't go out there and do what we want to do. We're just pretty much destined to live one way of life. But, stories like yours really give us, a different perspective in life. Like, we can do anything that we want if we put our mind to it. It's not a walk in the park, but it's all worth it in the end. And, to the woman who's listening to your episode, she may be in her own journey to self-confidence. What would be that one tip you'd give to her?
Yeah, like I mentioned, it's the power. You have it. You have that power. And what I'm going to say is, like, it's not perfect, right? So even at where I'm at in my life, I am very confident. I'm a very confident person. I do every public speaking opportunity. I take interviews with massive publications. I run a major fucking company. I have my home life in order. When you look at my life, you're people are like, okay, she's got shit under control and she's really fucking confident. But that's not the case 100% of the time. So give yourself some credit. There's no such thing as perfection. So that's the advice that I have for anybody who's listening. There's no such thing as, like, and if that's what we're painted this, that there's just, it's black and white, and confidence is not black and white. You can be confident about, like, I can be confident in my marriage and then have really shitty days, right? Like, my husband and I have been together for 10 years and we have a really, really, really strong marriage, and it's fantastic, but there's bad days with it too, where that does shake up your confidence. You can be, I'll have moments where I feel like I look absolutely fantastic and I feel so good in my skin and I don't need to lose another pound, or I feel fine where I'm at. And then I have days where I feel really shitty and I'm like, oh, what's the next diet that I'm on? Or here's what and I put myself through negative self-talk. And it's still, every person, if they tell you that they don't struggle with this, that's a bull crap. It's a bowl of crap, honestly. But it's really about being able to check yourself. And if you are able to pull yourself out of that, I think that's really what it's about. It's about not trying to do this for anybody else besides you, giving yourself some credit, giving yourself some slack, because there is no such thing as perfection. And as we as women, all we want to do is strive for perfection in everything. You can have it all, but you will need to sacrifice. So I have an incredible work life, but my home life there are sacrifices that I do need to make. And then there are things in my home life that I do, that I do take the time for. And then sometimes my work life struggles, right? Like, there's always a trade-off and there's always a balance. It's really about what you do with your time on a day-to-day basis. It's really about putting your goals on paper, making sure that you are working towards your things, having a zero, I call it like the zero time wasted mentality. Like if you really want to go get something, if these are your goals, actually taking the time to get them. There's no such thing as an overnight success. There's no such thing as an overnight diet. There's no such thing. Anything that you want to do, it's going to require work, and you have to be willing to forgive yourself, and it's progress over perfection. So I think that is also the journey of confidence, and that confidence comes when you can actually give yourself credit instead of taking it away.
Thanks for sharing those great tips. And I love how you mentioned progress over perfection, because for me, I don't believe in perfection as well. Like it's just this illusion that we've been like programmed to think that exists, right? But none of us is perfect. We all have flaws. We all have strengths. And, we just have to accept ourselves for who we are, flaws and all, and realize like, stuff happens. Not everything's always going to be perfect, but like I mentioned, everything will be worth it in the end. So thanks for sharing those great tips. And if our listeners wanted to get to know a little bit more about you and what you do and check out some of your work, is there any links or social media profiles we can connect with?
Everyone can follow me on Mom Boss Co. It's just my personal Instagram account. I'm always trying to just inspire working moms and also just boss babes out there who want to wake up and do some cool shit. So, we have full control over our lives and we can accomplish anything that we really set our minds to. And so I just try to give back there and showcase, ways and to improve our mindset and really go have it all. So follow me on Mom Boss Co. That's my social handle. I'm not a big Twitter person, but you can tweet at me. It's at Suneera Madhani. So it's my first and last name. And you can follow our company at Fat Merchant. If you guys are business owners out there, definitely let me know that you listen to this podcast and that we can set you up for processing if you guys need. So Suneera Madhani is at my Twitter, and at Mom Boss Co. is on Instagram. I respond to practically almost every DM. We have over 30,000 followers on this account, but I really try to make sure that I'm the one that's behind it. So that's where you can find me.
Thanks for sharing that. To our listeners, if you want to connect with Suneera, you can also head on over to thetaoofselfconfidence.com and search for Suneera's name. Her show notes will pop up along with everything else that we talked about. And I really just want to thank Suneera today for taking the time to share her story and tips with us on self-confidence. So thank you so much, Suneera.
Thanks so much, Sheena. I really enjoyed it. I look forward to hearing it on a drive home.
Not a problem. It was really great having you on the show. And to our listeners, be on the lookout for another new episode of another amazing woman's journey to self-confidence. And we'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.
Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to another amazing episode of The Tao of Self-Confidence. Visit our website at thetaoofselfconfidence.com to check out cool resources, blog articles, show recaps, and so much more. Your inner journey to self-confidence awaits.